Alright. So just so that everyone's on the same page, we will be recording this meeting um, so that any other residents that's not here can follow up with this meeting afterwards and can view it themselves. My name is Jasdeep Sani. I'm the project manager for this project. Um, this project will be going into construction after September 9th. So that will be when residents will be seeing people on site actually marking up and taking down trees and everything starting to happen. And so, after September 9th will be the date that you'll see activity starting to happen in this area. Just so that everyone kind of gets a rough idea of what we will be talking about today. So today I'm going to kind of orient everyone into a of the project site. So that'll be the where we will start, and then from there, kind of get people familiar with the site and letting you know why we're coming in here to do what we're doing. After that, we will show typical practices or of what you'll see on site after we're done. And then, of course, slowly working into there from there to what to expect during construction, what we're going to be doing, how it should look from beginning to end, and then kind of walking through you kind of how you'll see it progress. Because I know that's usually something that it's hard for people to kind of see if they're not seeing this regularly, like how it will go from what you see now being woodied up, uh, invasive, dead trees, bad condition to being nothing there, then start seeing some greenery, but it's not the way it was before to what it will eventually come back over several years. So, kind of walk you through that. And then, of course, going back over our timeline of this project. So, like I said, here is a quick overview of the project so you can kind of everyone can get familiar with this project. The yellow line is the approximate limits of disturbance for this project, um, showing our boundaries of where we're going. The red lines that you're seeing on here, those are our access points into the stream and how we're going to get in and out. As you can see, there's two, just because we don't want to have a primary access point off of Telegraph Road being heavily traveled. So, we also picked one off of Pike Road to make sure we can have that. Um, and again, just to kind of get familiar, down here is Pike Road. Here's Telegraph Road right here, Old Telegraph Road that comes in right there. Pike Branch Drive back here, and Wilton Road. So as you can kind of see, it's pretty much blocked off by Wilton, Telegraph, and Pike Road as our boundary for this project. So going over existing conditions, kind of the reason why we're coming out here to do this project and reestablishing it and making it better. As you can kind of see, this is a storm drainage outfall pipe. It's breaking off, falling down, and it shouldn't be doing that. That's not normal. So we're going to be coming in here fixing this. You can kind of see gabion basket here, wall here, but you can kind of see that it's undermined by the stream here. And, you know, if the gabion basket hasn't, that's failing here and here has failed down. So, getting rid of the gabion basket in these two places and making it so that it's back to being better condition than what it is and actually being a wall as a gabion basket wall. This is the start of our project right under the Telegraph Road, right up here. You can kind of see as the water comes under Telegraph Road that, it's undermining here as well. So, the water should be coming in and just falling right into this pool without having this big gap right there that's going underneath it. Um, this is just where the stream is actually able to kind of do what it's normally doing, but you can kind of see it trees leaning, it's getting wider. So, we want to come in here and make sure that we're sized this channel properly to what is out there. Like I said, there's some retaining walls. So this is kind of up by Telegraph Road and Pike Road. You'll see this type of retaining wall, which is more of a metal retaining wall. And then as you get down towards Wilton Road, you'll see more of this wooden retaining wall on both sides here. And as you can kind of see a little bit clearly in this one, you have the wall, but then you also have the stream that kind of looks like it's going underneath here, a little bit more kind of right there. Again, protecting these walls because they're held up to keep these houses up here back so they don't fall. The dirt doesn't just fall right in. Here, there's actually the elevation difference that's occurring right here, but again, not having the slope from the dirt just go straight in, and then you're losing all this. So what you will see when once we're done with construction, you'll see it will look like this given time, where you have native grass vegetation grown in and you can barely see the stream, which if you can kind of see it, there's a person standing right there along the stream edge, but there's the stream that flows like this where the red dot is. So that's our stream channel in this picture. Um, when we're done with it, you'll see it kind of looks like this, and you can see the flow of the stream going like that, where it goes from one side to the other, using mimicking what naturally would happen in nature if we weren't there and taking its course, minus the vegetation. I may have been a little bit more overgrown, but this would be kind of typical of what you would see naturally occurring in a stream. So we will be building these structures right here. This is our modified cross vein or cross vein, which in this case, as you can see, the water's coming in from top to bottom. But as it gets over to the sides where the vein arm is here, the water is actually getting forced back into the center on from both sides. So we're concentrating the flow more into the middle of the channel and keeping it off the side so it's not putting stress or anything. Um, we also will be having a part of this project. We'll be doing stacked stone bank protections, which can vary from height from really tall to really small amounts. But this is just to protect the grade difference if we have one, or protect the banks as it is in this case. We'll be doing bank protection, especially around where we have the walls, was kind of where you'll really be seeing this the stack bank protection, the stone bank protection occurring there. Uh, Also in this project for habitat purposes and catches, it ends up catching some debris, which typically if it was in a non um, in residential area where there's no development or anything, these will just be catching leaves and twigs and that sort of stuff. But in residential areas, you'll kind of see trash and debris being collected here, but then they will wash away. But this is primarily meant for habitat for fishes, and animals to perch and kind of rest inside the river or stream, depending upon what kind of animal is, and gives them a place to kind of see if there's a fish that they might want to get in there from here, so they can just go like that straight in there. Um, a boulder riffle will be up by our by what Telegraph near the start of the project, and it will look kind of like this is where it's really rocky, and it seems like you know we didn't really do place these rocks properly, but they're actually purposely installed at in there so that water comes up and it dissipates energy and it knocks it back and forth in this area to help alleviate any additional stress, velocity stress that might be occurring onto the banks, and helps reduce, like I said, velocity, erosion patterns, and kind of gives it a different um, flow track in between by hitting off of one, going to another rock, hitting that, kind of bouncing back and forth, breaking up the flow. And also, like I said, once it gets higher rain events, you're not going to really notice it, but it will be happening under undercurrents, and it does help us um, alleviate pressure on the banks. Now, when we get into construction, you're gonna see, first of all, like I said earlier, you know, people walking up there surveying. They're gonna be marking up the site, so you'll just see temporary flags, markers, which are just, you know, thin white lines of, I don't know what you really want to call it, but confetti paper type stuff. But it's thin and it's just there for the purpose of showing the contractor where they're supposed to be installing the fencing that's supposed to go around the project. Um, and then once we have that, we'll install our erosion and sediment controls, which is the limits, any tree protection, silt fence, safety fence, anything like that. And then we'll start clearing the site out, which will designate what trees will be removed and will not be removed. And then once we get the site cleared, then we'll come in there and we will actually start doing construction on the project itself. And then once we actually build the project, in this case, the stream restoration and the retaining wall portion for this project, we will then come in depending on when those components are completed, you know, we will come in right away, or we will have to wait until the end of winter season or the summer season when we will typically install plants. And that's typically done during the fall planting window and the spring planting window, where we have noted that we actually have a high success rate than when we plant in those windows than we do when we're planting outside of those windows. So, making sure that we have a high success rate, and we're not having to repay for trees and shrubs again. We're going to be planting in that time. So it like I said, if it happens to be during the window or the summer window, we're not going to be planting. So it might not look like there's any trees or shrubs, but please do be patient until we get into the actual proper planting window, and then we will have the contractor come there and actually plant the site with all the native trees and shrubs. It's just so that everyone can know what to expect on site when we're doing this. This is our typical construction entrance, where you'll see, some sort of ramp on top of the curb, and then going straight to the site. This will be typical of Pike Road, not so much off a Telegraph, because we will be using the existing driveway entrance point there. But you know, it will look similar to this, but this is more in line with what Pike will look like. Come in, go across the sidewalk, and get into the actual project site that way. Um, just to kind of give you a better example of what you would see up by Pike, you'll see a big kind of a staging area that's right this, and then you'll see these orange fencing along the edge of our project limit, showing that this is the everything within the orange fencing will be where the contractor can, but because of our project, can travel up and down. Um, if there's any trees like you see here, trunk armoring that we will put around the trees to protect those, because we're not taking them out, but they just happen to be close enough to our LOD that we don't want to accidentally destroy them. So, protecting them so they don't get damaged. And that's kind of, like you said, what you'll see typically um, around the site. And then when you see go actually in further in, and you'll see machinery, you'll see this track truck hauling materials from the stockpile down to the excavator, who will and dump it nearby. So the excavator is not going to be really traveling up and down, but they will be taking the materials that the track truck brings in and start using that to build the stream. So these two kind of work in conjunction with one another, bringing in material, taking out materials, and making it go a little bit quicker. Other machineries that you'll see early on, you'll have a wood chipper chipping up the trees that we've cut down so that they can be removed. All throughout the actual project, you'll see dump trucks like this coming, bringing in materials in and hauling materials out, to make sure that there's enough space for new materials to be offloaded and taken care of. So, throughout the project, you'll see this one going early on, you'll see the chipper, and just kind of give you examples of how construction will work. You know, up at the top of the project, the excavator will be outside of the stream channel as best as they can, working in to the stream on the side, but they can also be working in the stream and doing that the actual stream, and that will be kind of towards Wilton Road where we are a little bit tight and making sure that there is adequate spacing for them to go out. So they're going to be starting from up here, saying that's Wilton Road back there, and they'll work their way out like that towards Telegraph, and that's just because they have to work in the stream, and that's would be how they will do that excavation there. Um, Kind of how this would look. Here's our cross vein. Once they built it, a riffle RBM up here on top of it feeds right into it, and this is what you'll see before water flows in of how this will be built and how it looks in lieu of and then once water comes in, it'll fill up and this will form more into a pool, proper pool there. It will look something like this. So this is one of our previous projects that we have done, just keeping track of those arrows where they're pointing so you can kind of reference how each one of how the site progressed as it over time, and you can kind of see, a big pool, my cross vein here, pool, riffle section, or not riffle, yeah, riffle section with RBM as it progressed. And this is one growing season pretty much afterwards where we're able to get the shrubs just planted in. You can kind of already see that, the trees that we didn't take down and all the plants, they've really grown in green. Everything looks still greening in. Down here looks nice. And then a couple of planting seasons later, you can kind of see that the grass is kind of coming in. You don't see the channel as much, and it's just progressing as it goes. Trees, everything's now established, growing in. Eventually, you'll get to a point, depending upon where you're looking from, you might not even see the stream, and you might just see this big open area where it looks like water's pooling up, and that's it. But the rest of the stream, just because of the way the vegetation has grown in, it's gone. So you can expect that in some places, but um, not all throughout that, just because, like I said, you have these big pool areas that won't let you really cover it up completely. But that's what we're trying to do, is make it so that you don't think that there's a stream, and you can't even see any of the rocks or anything like that in there anymore. There's another example of another project that we did, like I showed in the previous one, showing you progression over time. This is how it looked before we got into our project. This is how it was right after we finished construction. So we haven't even put any landscaping in or anything like that. This is right after landscaping has kind of come in and they finished up. 3 years later, you can see the vegetation. Not only is the trees still there, but the vegetation that we used on the grass to stabilize and make sure that they're held in place to um, prevent erosion. Everything looks nice. You can kind of see some of the channel, but not so much. There, like I said, that's what we would like to see. So kind of what you can expect for this project. Um, it's less than an acre. So as you can kind of see, just based off of the density, planting density, we're having 75 overstory trees, 150 understory trees, and 860 shrubs that we're going to be planting on these trees. Um, the trees and shrubs that you kind of see here, these are examples of what you can expect to see on site after we're done with this project. So kind of give you guys a timeline of when we started this project to where we are and when you can expect this project to be done. We bid this project back out in March, when we opened it up to contractors to go. Come July, we had awarded this contract to Avon, and they'll be building it. And like I said earlier, on September 9th, the contractor has their start date so that they can physically be on site doing actual construction work on this project. And then this project is anticipated to be about till the end of next year. Um, and that includes what we anticipating to be um, the project to be constructed, all components of it, and hopefully, get landscaping in. But, like I said, depending upon when they finish, this might be pushed out to the next planting window. So we're construction end of next year, which will give us a construction and 1 year of construction warranty. So we're looking at end of 26 when we would say that, Avon's free from this site and they're not, they don't have to come back out there. But end of 25 will be when they physically will be done with this project. And like I was saying earlier, Avon was the winner of the project, so they'll be going through there. Um, Avon will be following the noise ordinance when doing construction and, complying with all safety requirements by the county. So as you can see right here, Monday through Friday, they can work from 7 to 9, and then, weekends from 9 to 9. But we are anticipating the contractors to give us at least 72 hours notice before they go out there, so that we can do our best to let you guys know that they will be work over the weekend. So hopefully we can get notification out to you guys in time before they go. But the holiday work and weekend work, contractors typically don't do that unless they really need that time. So, we anticipate this to be really far and in between of a use with them. Like I said, my name is Jasdeep Sani. I am the project manager for this project. Tesfu Medhin, he's the construction manager. So if you have any questions or concerns that you need to do about this project during construction, please direct them to Tesfu and he will address them and get them back to you as soon as we can, um, and reply back to you. I'll open up to the floor if there's anyone who has questions. If you don't have any questions now, got my contact information. Please feel free to just email me and we will get back to you, either myself or Tesfu, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Hi, thank you for going through the presentation.